everyone and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to share with you some ideas for finger food recipes. These recipes are super easy to make and super delicious. Also, they look so cute on the table. And they are perfect for gatherings or get-togethers. As usual, you will find all the written recipes down below the video listed in the description box. And finally, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and press on the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So the first recipe is gonna be potato puffs. They are so good and super easy to make. I'm sure that you will love it. So I'm gonna need for the filling some potatoes. These are boiled potatoes. I also need some cheese, yogurt, some parsley. I'm also gonna need an egg, some butter, and of course salt and black pepper. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to mash the potatoes. The potatoes here must be hot so that it's easier for you to mash them. So once I have the right consistency, I'm gonna add the rest of the ingredients. I have here some butter. The butter here doesn't have to be melted because it will melt from the heat of the potatoes. Once the butter is melted, I'm gonna add the parsley, the egg, the cheese, and the yogurt. For the cheese today, I'm using some Havarti cheese. Of course, don't forget to add some salt and some black pepper. And if you want, you can leave the egg for the end so that you can taste the mixture if it needs more salt or not. So all I'm doing here is to mix everything together until the mixture is ready. Now for the base, I'm using some puff pastry. Of course, I buy it ready. Also, it's pre-rolled. I just put it on my working surface and brush the top with some flour. Also brush the bottom with some flour. And all I'm doing is to cut it into squares. First, I cut it into half and each half into 2 equal parts. And I'm gonna do the same with the opposite way, so that I have 16 equal squares. Now to bake these, I'm going to use my muffin tin. I'm just brushing the molds with some olive oil. And then I'm going to place my puff pastry squares that I cut. Of course, you can fill them and form them by hand, but the muffin tin makes it a lot easier. And also the shape of them comes very cute. Now all I'm going to do is to distribute the filling. I put about 2 tablespoons in each. Now this final step that I'm gonna do is optional. I'm just gonna brush the top and the sides with some egg wash. It's just an egg with some water. Now make sure that your oven is preheated at 200 degrees Celsius. It's about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and bake them for about 20 to 25 minutes until they are golden brown, just like that. They look so delicious. They didn't stick to the pan. The filling is so light and fluffy, it's super good. Especially with the puff pastry base that gave it an extra crunch. I really hope that you give it a try. It's super good and super easy to make. Next, I'm gonna make some guacamole crackers with shrimp on top. This recipe can't be easier. I'm gonna show you how. Also, the combination of the ingredients is super good. So first here I have some peeled and deveined shrimp. That's what I'm using for this recipe. I also have a guacamole sauce that I already prepared, and I've got you covered with the recipe on my channel. I'm gonna put the link for you down below the video. I will start now by seasoning the shrimp. So I have here some lemon juice. I'm also gonna add some turmeric, some onion powder, paprika, some cumin, and of course salt and black pepper. Mix everything together, make sure that the shrimps are well coated with all these yummy spices. And now I'm gonna cook these shrimps. So I have here a pan, it's in medium heat. I added to it some olive oil. And once the oil is heated enough, I'm gonna add the shrimps. Shrimps, as you know, don't need a lot of time to cook, so they may need about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. So for the base, I'm using these crackers. They're salted and they have like vegetable flavor to them. So I'm gonna start by putting a layer of guacamole, about 1 tablespoon on each cracker. And after that, I'm gonna top it with a piece of shrimp, and they're ready to be served. One thing I want to mention that you can prepare the guacamole sauce in advance. Also, you can cook the shrimp and have it ready. In a few minutes before your guests come, you can assemble the whole thing, otherwise the crackers will be soggy. So just keep that in mind. Next thing I'm gonna do the salad in a jar. I'm gonna make an orzo salad. It's super good, super flavorful, and of course, as usual, super easy to make. Now the ingredients are super simple also. I have here some veggies. I have here some yellow, red, and green bell pepper, some tomatoes, olives, white onions. I also have some orzo and some parsley. Now the orzo, I have it cooked here. Now if you don't have orzo, you can easily replace it with some rice, cooked rice, or those really small pasta shapes like the letters or the stars. Works perfect. Now as you can see, I put all of my ingredients in the same bowl. I'm just gonna give it a slight mix, then I'm gonna move on to make the dressing. I'm gonna put all the ingredients of the dressing in the same jar. So I have here some vinegar, some lemon juice. Also I have some mustard, some Dijon mustard, some salt, some dried oregano, and black pepper. I'm also gonna add a clove of garlic. And finally, some olive oil. Now you can skip the garlic if you don't like the strong flavor of it, but it really gives a nice taste. Put the lid on and shake everything together until it's well combined and the dressing is ready. I'm just gonna pour it over the ingredients of the salad, give everything a good mix. Now you can eat it right away or serve it right away, but it's really much better if you put it in the fridge for about 2 hours so you can make it in advance. It's really worth it. Now after I distributed the salad in these little jars, I'm gonna make it even cuter by wrapping a thread around the top. I have here a thread that has 2 colors, white and red. I'm gonna wrap it around and I'm gonna put a small spoon so that every jar has a small spoon. It looks really nice and it took the small jars into another level. Now I'm gonna make some goat cheese crostini. This recipe is amazing. I really love it. I topped it with some caramelized onions. Really good. Now for the base, simply I'm using some French baguette. I have here a long French baguette. I cut it into circles, just like that. And here I'm just brushing both sides with some olive oil. And I will be toasting them in the oven. So my oven now is preheated at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 190 Celsius. So I brushed the first side and I'm flipping the baguettes so that I brush the other side with some olive oil. I'm gonna bake them for about 10 minutes until they have a really nice color. So in the oven they go. Meanwhile, I'm gonna make the cheese mixture. So I have here some cream cheese, some goat cheese, some za'atar, oregano, and some dried tomatoes. This is the goat cheese I'm using. It's really good, really tangy, creamy. I love it so much. And adding the cream cheese to the goat cheese really give it a nice and creamy texture. It's super good. I also want to add some dried tomatoes, a pinch of za'atar, and some oregano. I also added some black pepper. I'm not gonna add any salt because the cheeses are salted already. So give everything a good mix, just until all these ingredients are well combined together. So that's perfect. The cheese mixture is ready. Now I'm gonna move on to make the caramelized onions. And to make the caramelized onions, of course, I'm going to need some onions, obviously. I have here some white onions cut into strips. I have a skillet here, it's on medium heat. I added to it some olive oil and some butter. Keep it on low to medium heat because you don't want it to burn the onions. We want them to be caramelized. So once the oil and the butter are heated enough and the butter is melted, of course, I added the onions. And I'm just gonna saute the onions until they start to develop some color. You can add a pinch of salt to help them wilt. And it may take about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna cover the skillet and leave them for a few more minutes until they are super tender, really caramelized and sweet. And this is how they look like. They're super good and super sweet. Now all I'm gonna do is to assemble the whole thing. I'm just gonna put a layer of the cheese mixture on top of the baguette pieces. And on top of that, I put some of the caramelized onions. And that's it, they're ready to be served. They were super good. The combination of the caramelized onions with the tangy goat cheese was super good. I really hope that you give it a try. I'm sure that you will love it. Also, one thing for this recipe, you can have everything ready for you, and just before your guests arrive, you can assemble it. Otherwise, the piece of baguette will be soggy from the cheese mixture, so just keep that in mind. Next, I'm gonna make some salsa. This salsa is foolproof. It's super good and delicious. You can do it both ways, cooked or uncooked. Now to make this recipe, I need very simple ingredients. I have here tomatoes, white onions, a chili. I also have orange bell pepper. You can use the color that you like. Garlic, some salt, sugar, cumin, and some tomato paste. Now, as I mentioned, super simple, so the food processor will do all the work for us. So as you can see here, I'm just dumping all the ingredients in my food processor, along with the cumin, the salt, and black pepper. I'm also gonna add some lemon juice and olive oil. I didn't mention these two at the beginning of the recipe. So that's perfect. Now I'm gonna start to pulse these ingredients until I reach the desired consistency. You may like it super smooth or super chunky. It really depends on how you like it. I like mine a little bit chunky, not too much. So at this stage is perfect for me. I'm not gonna pulse anymore. Now at this point you can serve it just like that, super fresh, really good and delicious. Or you have another choice. You can cook it or let it boil for a few minutes, just until the water comes out and evaporates. And this way it will stay very good for a few days if you keep it in the fridge. So it's really up to you, but both ways it's super good, very yummy. I really love it. I'm just gonna sprinkle some parsley or coriander, whatever you have on hand, whatever you like. Of course, I'm gonna let it cool completely before serving it. Now I have here some tortilla chips that I'm gonna serve with to dip. And that's it, ready to be served. It was really delicious, super easy to make as you saw. Give it a try and tell me what you think. And finally, I'm gonna make some spicy deviled eggs. They are so good and so easy to make. So for the ingredients, I'm gonna need some hard-boiled eggs, some harissa, or any hot sauce you have on hand. I also have some mustard and mayo, and some spices, paprika, onion powder, salt, and black pepper. So all I'm doing here is to remove the egg yolk from the egg whites and put them in a small bowl. And I'm gonna start mashing them slightly with a fork. And now I'm gonna start adding the rest of the ingredients. I have here the mayo and the mustard. I'm also adding the harissa or the hot sauce, and also the spices that I mentioned earlier, along with the salt and black pepper. And I'm gonna start to mix everything together until I have a creamy mixture. Then as you can see here, I put it in a piping bag, and here I'm piping the egg yolk mixture into the holes of the egg whites. And that's it. I'm gonna sprinkle them with some freshly chopped parsley, and they're ready to be served. They were super yummy and super good, and they look so cute. So my lovelies, that was it for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Give these recipes a try. They're so delicious and so easy to make as you saw. And when you make them, don't forget to send me pictures on Instagram or Facebook. I love to see what you create in your home. And finally, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'm gonna see you soon in another video. Bye!